Hey friends, if you're using Playwright for end-to-end testing or synthetic monitoring with Checkly, you have probably looked for ways to reuse all your end-to-end testing code. And a common approach are page object models. And I must tell you that usually I don't like using page object models that much. But I now discovered that when you pair them with Playwright Fixtures, the experience is quite nice. Does that sound interesting? Because that's what this video is about. Let's go. If you haven't used page object models in testing yet, let's look at an example. Here we have a JavaScript or a TypeScript class that is called dashboard page. And this class now represents a certain area in the site that you want to test. So in our case, this will represent the dashboard area of the Checkly web application. And when we create a new object with this class, we will include three properties. We will include a URL, a page, this is the Playwright page object, and a locator that I pre-signed with $, that is the home dashboard. And then when we initialize this class, we assign these properties. So we assign here this page to the page that we pass in, and we define that the home dashboard should be this particular Playwright locator. And now that when we initialize objects with this class, with dashboard page, we will be able to reuse locators and we can encapsulate functionality in this page object model. And as we see on the right side, in a test case that uses page object models, this approach simplifies authoring, maintenance, and keeping things dry because your end-to-end testing logic is in a single place. And your test cases then are also pretty readable. When we look at this log into Checkly test case, it's pretty clear what is going on. We're creating a new login page from the login page object model. Then we navigate to the login page. Then we're logging in, passing in an email and a password. And then we expect that we're on the dashboard page, which is another page object model. And then we wait for this dashboard page to be ready. This is pretty self-explanatory. And we don't have to care about the implementation details here. But there are two things that always bug me when using page object models. So the first one is that I'm reaching out of my test cases, and Playwright gives many tools to self-contain all the functionality that you need in your end-to-end tests. And secondly, I really don't like to initialize all these objects. It's always like pull in a page object model, initialize it, pull in another one, initialize it. And while that's not a big deal, I just don't enjoy doing that. And wouldn't it be cool if we could go into our Playwright test cases and we could go here into our test function to then say that we want to use a login page and a dashboard page and then drop all these constructor calls and have this magically work? This is possible with custom fixtures, and I think this is such a beautiful test case now. But before we change our Playwright setup now, very quickly, make sure to check out this video in which I explain fixtures in Playwright in more detail. So let's do it. So whenever you write your Playwright test cases and you use the page object, this is a fixture provided by Playwright. Similarly, you could always reach for the request object that is also magically available in your Playwright test cases. But as you see, login page and dashboard page aren't available yet. Luckily, Playwright is nicely extensible. So let's get them in. And for that, I already prepared another file that is called base.ts. So let's have a look. So here we have base.ts that imports test. Remember, that's the same test function coming from Playwright, but we're renaming it to base. And then we're exporting const test with this extend call. And this is Playwright's nice extensibility in action. And similarly, we're also exporting expect directly from Playwright test. Now we can go into our test case and we can say that we want to use test not from Playwright test, but rather from base.ts. So this test here is now our extended test case, but we're not extending it yet. As a next step now, we can define these two objects that we want to have as custom fixtures in our test cases. So we can go in here and we can say that we want to have a login page, exactly, and it should look like this. And we also want to have a dashboard page. So let's go for this one. Thank you, Copilot. And then it's important to note what parameters we have here. So the most important piece here is that if we define functions in this base extend call, whatever we call use with will be what will be popping out in our test cases. So we can now say that for a login page, we want to use new login page, similarly like that. And for a dashboard page, we want to say await use new dashboard page like this. And now only thing that is missing, we have to import these from our POMs. So let's quickly import them like this. Here we go. And now TypeScript is still complaining. So let's fix this very quickly. We're saying that we have a login page like this, and we want to have a dashboard page like this. Sweet. So now we can remove our page object here because it's not needed anymore, because we're defining in our custom fixtures that we want to use the original base fixture page here. And then we're initializing new login page and new dashboard page, which then are automatically popping out here if we request them. And I think this is super sweet. So let's run this very quickly to see if this works. So I'm calling npx playwright test with the headed flag. So let's give that a spin. Let's see. Here we have, all right, we're seeing in that we're logging in. And here we go. That was a successful test case, and I don't know about you, but this is beautifully to read. And now we can also remove this line. We don't have to import any custom modules anymore. And our test cases, our Playwright setup is now nicely self-contained without these ugly constructor calls. And I must say, I'm a big fan of this. And I will definitely implement more fixture-based page object models in my Playwright code bases now. And I know this was now super quickly done, so make sure to check out the other video. But this was this week's Playwright tip. If you have questions, drop them below or join our Checkly community Slack. I promise we are a lovely bunch, and I will be back next week with another Playwright, synthetic monitoring, API monitoring, or any other tip on shipping good stuff for the web. I will see you next week.